Welcome to Building Bridges, Community Recovery's training video series that will help you build bridges between those on the outside of the church to come into the inside of the church. We welcome you and invite you to think and reimagine how the church in Africa can take the next steps to reaching people who seem to be shunned, outcast, and forgotten. Now that's why you're in ministry. I'm speaking to those of you perhaps in Liberia, Nigeria, Kenya, other countries. And you have a heart for those who are on the outside. Here at Community Recovery for over 20 years, we've been working here at Grand Rapids, Michigan to build the bridge from the outside to the inside. What do I mean? Yes, we have church buildings. More importantly, we have relationships. And relationships are everything. Let me explain an experience that my father had when he was a kid, growing up in his home church with his parents, family, extended family. Everybody went to that same church. One Sunday, as my dad was sitting in the front few rows of the sanctuary, and the worship service was in full fling. It was into the music with the hymns and also then other readings and so on in the Christian Reformed tradition. And a gentleman walked in unannounced halfway during the worship service with a red shirt on. And he seemed a bit different. Most of the men were dressed up, women too. Kids were dressed up as well. This was where if you went to church, you had to make it seem to and appear that you had it all together, that you were perfect. So as my father and everybody else had turned their heads and eyes on this guy with a red t-shirt on, jeans, looked a little dirty, looked a little unkempt, and he walked to the front of the sanctuary, sat in the front pew, and looked around and felt like a fish out of water, and the pastor just kind of kept going. Everybody else just said, "Oh my word," to themselves. And after a good 15 minutes, that man walked out. That was a poignant, penetrating moment for my dad as a young man. It got him thinking, why does this gentleman who walks in the middle of the service feel so uncomfortable? Why is everybody turning their eyes upon him and judging him, rejecting him, therefore, and making him feel uncomfortable and feel like he had to leave? Why? How can we fix this? What can we do? In this Building Bridges series, we want, Pastor Greg and myself, want to help you and become empowered in reaching those on the outside, like the man with the red shirt, to feel welcome, invited, and included in the body of believers. Because as I said a minute ago, you have the church buildings, but also you have relationships. And people will accept you or reject you. And kind of accept you in between, but not really. Often it's a black and white situation in terms of either you are or you're not. You're on the ladder or you're off the ladder. And this is where we want to help you think through and build a strategy to go to the streets, to go to the places where you know the people are that you want to reach with the gospel of Jesus, as well as to help them to recover from whatever choices, destructive and otherwise, have been in their lives. Well, we want to share with you our vision at Community Recovery. Our vision has been to build bridges. And why recovery ministry? Why recovery ministry? We talk about recovery ministry because as we look at recovery ministry, we want to look at the least of these. In the book of Matthew 25, Jesus says to those on his right and those on his left two different things. Those on his right, as you may recall, he says to them, come, those who have been chosen by my Father, come and enjoy your inheritance. And those who were invited, according to the parable, said, well, why, Lord? Why are you, how come? We don't deserve this. Okay, why? And Jesus then responds in third person, because I was hungry and you fed me. I was in prison and you visited me. I was in trouble and you walked with me, if you will. I was the least of these, and you were there for me. And then those on his left, he said, depart from me. Yes, you say, oh Lord, you did these things. We did these things in your name. But he says, I never knew you. Depart from me. Because you did not do unto the least of these, my brothers and sisters of mine, what these on my right did. It was a matter of the heart, a matter of action, a matter of bringing and doing Jesus to others, being Jesus to others. That's our whole desire. That's how building bridges happens. As you all know, in your cultures on the continent of Africa, we've been in Kenya twice, actually 3 times for myself, and also working with others from other countries outside of Kenya. It's been the same message. Yes, those who have been drinking, those who have been doing drugs, those who have been involved in extramarital affairs, those who have been involved in other kinds of deviant behavior, they're not welcome in the church. Especially those with HIV. They're not welcome. But with knowledge, there's power. We want to bring you to that place where you can build the bridge. You can say, yes, we can. And with God's help, we, as people on the right side, per that parable, Matthew 25, we are there to meet the least of to meet the needs of the least and make a difference. And also to help the church to step up and make a difference, to educate, to equip, so that we got the tools to do the job. Well, on my first slide, I talk about this. Why recovery ministry? Why recovery ministry? The least of these. And we talk about this because we need to develop what's called a side door, point of contact, to meet people where they are and not where you expect them to be, to bridge the gospel per their felt need, their felt issues. Now, I'm going to get the whiteboard to show you just what we mean. Now, this session is an introductory session. We're going to get you started. We're going to have part 2 in the next session. And then Pastor Greg is going to talk about relapse prevention and what that's all about as we look at recovery and also preventing relapse as it applies to not just addictive behaviors, but also life. Life as it is. Life as we know it. As broken people. Romans 3:23, we know that well. All have fallen short of the glory of God. And what we want to do is demonstrate, and I taught this in India as well, demonstrate how the side door helps the main door. Let me unpack that for you. On the board, I have the church building, whatever that may be. Perhaps it's under a tree for you, or maybe it's in someone's house, or it's in a defined building where everybody comes together to worship, to be church together as the community. Well, we want to say that we can be a recovering community. The community of recovery. The community that is recovering together. And here's the problem. The main door has been the stigma. The main door has been the barrier. The main door has been the scary place for those on the outside. Why? Because if I go to the main door, those people who have judged me, shunned me, put me out of other places, and especially now the church, they're going to see me come in. And they will judge me all over again. And plus, who am I in God's presence? Now you're thinking to yourself, yeah, why would they think that way? God says there's now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. Romans 8 verse 1. However, in the human experience, in the broken state that we're in, we need that open door. But that open door, the main door, the front door, doesn't seem welcoming to the person coming in from the outside. So you got the main door right here. The main door. Ooh, who will see me? Ooh, who's going to judge me? Ooh, there's fear. Really, we should have called it the door of fear as opposed to the door of welcome. The door of fear can create that wall and also deflect people from the outside from even coming to the building. There's no way. So we need to develop what's called the side door. Here it is. So instead of this way, we've got either the side door on this side or the side door on this side. Or any side door. However you want to define it. This way, that way, whichever side door you need to create. And it comes in the form of relationships that we create with those who feel that they are outcast. So as you work in your rescue mission, working with rescuing people from sex trafficking, or doing the outreach to those who are dealing with addictions, or dealing with the prostitutes, or dealing with those who are just lost in general because of all the stigma and all the rejection they've had from their families of origin. We want to encourage you to develop and think through how can we get them into the church family through other ways so that eventually the side door becomes a door of welcome rather than the door of fear. What we've done here in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and have trained other churches to do the same, is to create that side door. Say, hey, come on out on a Friday night, and we have the doors open for those of you who have addictions and other compulsions and other life issues in general. We've all sinned, fallen short of the glory of God. Me too, as pastor. Pastor Greg as well. None of us are perfect. We all need a Savior. So why not create the side door? Why not build the bridge so that other people can come in? And see, there are 3 words I want to give to you right here. It's this. It's invitation. Come on out. We partnered with many different agencies as well as rescue missions as well as other places and said, we want to bring people you serve to our church building. We went to other places that were working people on the streets and did the same. We invited them. Invitation. Connection. We made the personal connection. Hi, I'm Pastor Mark. Who are you? And, oh, I'm Joe, or I'm Sue, or whoever. Connect with them. And then inclusion. Invitation, connection, inclusion. To include them into the fellowship, into the group of people that call themselves the First Church, or Wellspring Church, or whatever church that you call it, as a body of believers. Because there are many different bodies of believers, and there are many different places. Whatever it takes to make the group of people that call themselves church into a place that includes all. And do just like Jesus said. You met the needs of the least of these, my brothers and sisters of mine. And that side door can be transformed into that main door, where then they come to know Joe, or Sue, or Tom, or Josephine, whoever that may be, and say, come on in. Oh, now we know, you know Pastor so-and-so, or you know Mr. Smith, oh, you know It's okay. We're here. And it takes time to build up to that, but that's the goal. So that there's no more fear, there's no more anxiety, there is all open inclusion, connection by invitation. So that invitation takes us into that bridging process. And on my next slide, I want to talk about that vision, about that bridging. Because we say for our vision statement to bridge recovering people, that's everybody, not just the drunk, not just the addicted to cocaine or crack or other drugs or substances. It's everybody. All have fallen short of the glory of God? You bet. Me too. Come on in, all of you who are broken and weary. Bridge recovering people to God and to the community of Christ. That's what we're here to do. So that we are bridging them, we create the opportunity, the open door, which at first is that side door, like we just talked about, that can become the main door of acceptance. And therefore bridge everyone, no matter where they've been, what they've done, where they've come from, and no matter what tribe they hail from as well. They all can come to your fellowship or to another that fits them better. Every body of believers has a different personality, and that's okay. That's not the issue. The issue is, as a body of believers, are we accepting of the addicted, of the broken, of the disenfranchised? And if we are truly that way, then we can bring the gospel more effectively and also reproduce committed, dedicated followers of Jesus. So, bridge, and bridging means, where we then bridge them over as we have remember the bridge illustration as you present the gospel? Mankind is over here, God is over here, you have that chasm in between, and you need a bridge to bridge man over to God. And Christ is that bridge with the cross. And then we ask the question, where are you? And the recovering people, like I said, all people, and the community is the church. The church is people, not buildings. Yes, we need a place to meet, but we are all God's people. And we all need to extend the hand to that person to walk them across the bridge to where God is. And of course, we know God's right here already. But when it comes to matters of the heart and also the flesh, we know that they're seekers. We're seeking Christ. That's every one of us. So let's bridge. Bridge, bridge, bridge. So that there's always an open opportunity. And the community of Christ comes alive. Now our mission, this is the overall picture from the 30,000 foot view up in the sky. If you were to get on a balcony from 30,000 feet above, that's what you see. This is where we're headed, to bridge everyone to Jesus. But the mission, the day-to-day mission that we do is this. The next slide. Is that we want to receive or capture recovering people where they are. Let me unpack that a second. Meet them where they are? Hold on a minute. I thought if you came to church to worship, you had to have all of your issues off to the side or at the door. Very to the contrary. We need to meet people where they are, and if they're dealing with something at the moment, come on in anyway. Of course, we've had it where people come on in our midst, in our group, drunk and inappropriate, and we had to send them home because that's the exception if they're going to create disruption. But in general, is to say, whatever you've been through, whatever is going on, come on in. So we go where they are. Restore recovering people to God and to self. So let's walk together. Let's journey together. Also, return recovering people to the community of Christ. So as we bring them in, Meet them where they are, bring them in, walk with them, hand in hand, of course, arm in arm, as best we can now with the virus situation, but you know what I mean. And then, of course, eventually become more like Jesus as we walk with him, as we go through the recovery process, which is sanctification. That's another bridging here too, to bridge our terms. Recovery to sanctification. Sanctification is recovery, and so on. And with that, we then bring them back into the community to make a difference, to then work with those who are in leadership and also followership to walk to other people like what they were used to be at, and so on. The reproduction principle. And then we see the church as a hospital, a recovery center, a spiritual hospital. The book of Proverbs, it talks about vision. Where there's no vision, the people will perish. And we've often said here at Community Recovery is that we have to have a big shovel to shovel the poop, to shovel the manure around. And that the stall, like in a barn, the stall where the horse is, there's always going to be manure. There's always going to be manure and stinky stuff going on with our people. And I say our people because our refers to inclusion, the whole community. Go where people are, and they're going to have a lot of manure in their life. And a lot of stinky stuff in their life. It's always a mess. But where there's no mess, there's no ministry. Where there is a mess, there's plenty of ministry. We as a church have a choice. We have a choice to go into the mess or avoid the mess, at the peril of denying our own mess. If we deny our own mess, how is it that we can even go into the mess of someone else? That's why Jesus said to the people on his left in Matthew 25, "Depart from me. You avoided the mess. I don't want any part of that or a part of you because you made that choice." But he said to the people on his right, "Come, those of you who identified and accepted and admitted your mess and went into the lives of others in their mess and gave the hand up and not the hand out." See, those on the left, well, let's just do the hand out. That makes me a good person. Only Jesus Christ can make us good in any sense of that word. So therefore, our desire is to be the people on the right. We say, "Yes, Lord, I'm a mess, and I can't do it, but God can." And when God does, he uses you and me to go into the mess of others and to make things well with other souls, as God does it through you. So we are bridging institutions, we are bridging groups, we are bridging individuals in the love and power of Jesus Christ. That's the mentality, that's the vision. And the mission day to day is to go where people are and bring them in to where they can be and become more like Christ. So be daring. Get that side door, whatever that looks like, developed. Educate the church. And if it's not that group of people, go to another church and see if they'll work with you. Because the church at large, overall, eventually needs to work and become more intentional of going into the mess of other people. And maybe with some groups, they've got some programs going on and that's good. Maybe it's food or other programs. Great. But when it comes to addiction and other life issues, see, sometimes it doesn't translate, and it still takes some education because there's still not a willingness to walk alongside of the people who are seeking the food or seeking the help of the church. It should be the other way around. We need to go where they are so we can, in fact, make a difference for the Lord. We're going to unpack a lot more in the next session. We're glad you're here. Let's keep building bridges.